Link for the final project file is in the description. You can download and play around with the scene. And the idea for this video came from this post on Twitter from Peter Tarka. We want to regenerate something similar to this. Okay, let's go. Open a new scene. Come to notes here on layout. Change this layout to something like this. First on the console, close it. On the view, put the object next to attribute. Put the view top of the object manager. Put the attribute next to object manager. Close the layers. That's okay for now. I add this layout to new one called new node. You can click this plus button and save layout as whatever you want. First add a capsule here, then add a geometry axis. Add a geometry axis here. Connect the capsule to geometry axis. On geometry axis enter minus 100% for the axis Y. Add a matrix operator here. Connect the geometry axis to the matrix operator and connect the matrix operator as a children one for the scene root. Add a range here. Enter something like 25 for the end. Add a loop carried value here. Connect the range to this input of the loop carried value. Duplicate the range. Change the end to something like 20. Add and multiply node here. Connect the range output of second range node to first input of multiply. Let's also make the inputs of loop carried value. Click on this folder icon here. Right click here. Add new input here. Rename it to offset sign. Add another input. Rename it to noise seed. Add another input. Rename it to animation speed. Save the file for now. I name it to something like bars live v1.1. Okay, let's also add the outputs here. Right click here, add output, add new output. Name the first one height, second one result, third one color. Come back to scene node. Now for the second range, connect it to offset sign. On the multiply, enter 70 for input 2. Open the matrix operator translation. Connect the multiply to the Y on translation. On the loop carried value, change the type 1 to float. On the capsule, add the height as an input here. Let's reorder it a little bit. Connect the height to the height on capsule. Connect the result to the Y here. We need to connect the multiply result to X instead of Y. It's okay for now. Let's go inside the loop carried value by clicking on this folder. Let's make the structure here. First add a range mapper, connect this as an input, then add an angle unit, connect the result of angle unit to output max. On the angle unit, change it to degree to radiant, enter 90. On the range mapper for input max, enter something like 2. Add an add node here. Connect the range map to input 1. Rename this to offset sign. Connect the input 2 to offset sign here. Add an sign node here. Connect the offset sign to sign. Add an absolute here. Connect the result of sign to input of absolute. Add an round node here. Connect the absolute to round. Add an range mapper here. Connect the round to input of range mapper. On the range mapper, switch the values for output min and output max. Output min would be 1, output max 0. Add a multiply node here. Multiply, where is it here? Connect the range mapper to multiply. Add a range mapper here, or you can just duplicate this one. Connect the result of multiply as an input for the range mapper. On the range mapper, for the output min, enter something like 52 and output max 470. Save the file. Let's also add basic noise here. Add the seed as an input of it here. Duplicate this multiply node here. Connect the result of it to seed. Connect these two from inputs to the multiply node here. Add animation seed as an input on noise. Connect the animation speed to animation speed here. Add a multiply here. Enter 1 for second value. Connect the result to input 1 of multiply here. Connect this multiply to this multiply. It seems okay for now. Select all these. Control G. Okay. Add an add node here. Connect the range mapper and the previous value one from the inputs here. Connect this to result and also variable one next here. Add another add here. Connect this to add. Connect the result to the color. You can also rename the add here to something like offset color. Connect this result of range mapper also to height here. As you can see, we are getting somewhere. And the viewport come to front view, and that was what we built. Okay, save the file. Come back to scene node here. That also makes the color. On the viewport NA. Add then Voronoi noise here. Add seed as input of Voronoi noise here. Connect the color to the seed here. Add a basic gradient here. Connect the color to position. On the basic gradient load preset, you can select each one you like. For example, here I select this one. You can change the colors here to whatever you like. For now, I won't change it. Add color operation here. Connect the basic gradient to color. Connect the geometry operator to operator. Add a material operator here. Connect the color operator to material operator. Connect the material to matrix operator here, operator to operator here. Okay, let's reorder these a little bit. As you can see, the color has been changed here. You can come here to basic gradient and change this color to get a different result. For now, I won't touch it. Scene is almost ready. Let's also add the animation element here. Click here on the loop carried value. On the frame 0, add a keyframe on animation speed. Come to middle of your timeline, enter 1 here. Add another keyframe. Come at the end, add another keyframe. Get it back to 0. As you can see, the scene is animating, and we use this setup for the animation speed to get a perfect loop at the end of the animation. Because I'm also recording, it is a slow, but if I didn't do that, it was great. On the last keyframe, the value 0 didn't apply. Enter 0, add another keyframe, and as you can see, it is a perfect loop. You can play it on and on. Okay, let's add other elements to the scene. Add a plane to the scene. Come to viewport here. On the plane, select something like positive Z or minus Z is better here. Come to front view, put it wherever you want. Change the size of plane to cover the background. On the side, let's push it out a little bit to not intersect with the cylinder bars. Let's also add lights, one infinite light and one dome light. For the dome lights, let's open browser, search for HDRI. I like this one. Open dome light, come to objects, drag and drop each one you like as texture here. Hit added to the scene, save the file. On the dome lights, I prefer to exclude the plane. Let's also add a camera. Close this browser here, push this a little bit further here. Let's add a camera, Alt 0 on it, put it at the center, drag it out, add another new view panel, change it to RS camera. On the camera, change the focal length to something like 120, position it somewhere that you like. I'm happy about this. You can see the position of camera on the right and front view is here. Change this panel to the render view, come here to view, use as render view. Let's also make the material, save the file, open browser, I search for a plastic, come to material, plastic, open the material manager here. I want two of them. I select, for example, this one, another one, I choose this one. One is for the background plane, so I drag and drop this one as background plane. And one is for the objects. Let's open RS render view, hit the play button here. Okay, let's first change the settings on lights a little bit. You can increase the intensity by changing exposure and intensity on our RS infinite light and change it to 2, for example, here. You can also change the orientation for the infinite light here. I'm happy about it now. As you can see, my RS infinite light rotation values are something like this. You can also change the dome light intensity, for example. Let's increase it to see where it goes. Okay. Also on RS infinite light, I like shadows to be a little bit softer, so come to details here and enter a value for the softness. You can increase it to see where it goes. I'm happy about it here. Let's also add the material to the objects. For now, it is just a simple plain color. It doesn't have any characteristics for a material. So here on the nodes, come here to mode, select scene, come here to material OP, open material manager, drag and drop the material you want as a material here. As you can see, because the color of material is blue, I'll change to blue. If you're happy, then great, render it. But if you want the colorized version, open the material you added to the scene node. You can double click on it or see it here in node manager. Add and use a color data. Use color user data here. Put it at the color of a standard material. On the color user data, click presets and select object color, I think. Turn off the RS render view, turn it back on. It's not working because we input it as metalness, not the color. Get it back to color. Now it's working. You can also come back to the background material and change the color for it. For example, you can use something like ramp, put it between this node and the color, grab it, input alt input, put it here. You can come to ramp here and now play with the sliders and change the color on them. For example, I can select something like a yellowish color here or whatever you like. And that was all for this video. Bye bye.